If you're not doing research in college, you're falling behind. But there's no need to worry because in this video, I will share with you the exact steps that I took to get into research in my very first quarter of college with zero experience and no connections. Research is the single most important activity that I did in college. It opened the doors for me to go to conferences, get internships, and get strong letters of rec. And it got me into a fully funded PhD program. If you're serious about your future and you want to go to graduate school, medical school, or even go into the industry, research is no longer optional. It's the highest leverage activity that you can do in college, and having a strong research experience will set you apart from the thousands of other students. The problem is, nobody actually shows you how to get started, especially if you have no experience. The first thing we need to do is reframe your mindset that you need experience to get into research, because in reality, you don't. In fact, most labs would actually prefer to have a freshman or sophomore join their lab because they have more time to learn and build up their experience to contribute long term in the lab. When labs say that they don't want to recruit freshmen, it's because they don't want to babysit someone who can't work on their own. You need to be able to work independently, but you don't need to know everything. Professors don't expect you to have already learned the skills that you need to work in the lab. Research is supposed to be an educational experience, and you're going to learn on the job. If you wait until your senior year to join a research lab, you will be just as inexperienced as you would if you joined as a first or second year. Maybe you have a little bit more technical skills, but you would have learned them on the job anyway, because real learning doesn't happen in the classroom. It happens through experience and projects and internships and working in a lab. Now, let's get into the 4-step strategy that I use to get into a research lab. The first step is to choose your research direction. Now, for this step, I want you to set aside what labs are the most prestigious or what professors have the biggest name, because at this point, it does not matter. You're not defining the rest of your life with this choice. You're going to just choose a starting point. And I want you to choose based on your own curiosity so that you're actually excited about the work that you potentially will do. Once you find this out, I want you to go to your school's faculty directory website. So, for example, I go to UC Irvine. So you can search up the UC Irvine faculty directory and you'll find a list of professors, and there'll be a search bar where you can search for keywords about each professor's research. And I want you to search up the keywords that interest you. For example, if you think microscopes are cool, then I would search up things like microscopy, imaging, things like that. And once you do those searches, a bunch of faculty options will come up. And I want you to start compiling a list of potential professors' labs that you might want to join. The second step is to build your surface level knowledge. So you can start by just searching up the professor's name on Google, and you're going to find things like the lab website, press releases, TED Talks, conference presentations, things like that. However, most of the time, all you're going to find is a lab website. Now, I definitely want you to stalk the lab website. However, just keep in mind that the lab websites are almost guaranteed to be outdated. However, you still might be able to get a surface level understanding of the broad ideas that the lab covers. Now, to go a little bit deeper than that, what I want you to do is go into Google Scholar. So go to scholar.google.com and you'll essentially get a Google search bar, but it's specifically for scientific articles. And you'll search up the professor's name. And once you search up the professor's name, you'll be able to find their profile. And once you click on the profile, there'll be a list of articles that have been published by this professor. Now, it'll automatically be sorted by the amount of citations. I don't want you to look at the first few results. I actually want you to change the settings to sort by date published. And then once you sort by date published, you'll see the most recent publications. And I want you to just click on the first 3 to 5 results. So these should be hopefully in the last 1 to 2 years. And you can just read the abstracts of these few articles to get a general idea of what's currently going on in the lab. Now, obviously, you're not going to understand everything, and this is where ChatGPT becomes super helpful because it's very good at explaining things to you in different ways until you understand it. And I want you to keep doing this until you can say out loud a few sentences about why you're interested in the lab and what the lab does. And this by itself will already make you more prepared than 90% of students who are trying to join a research lab. Now, step three is where you're actually going to reach out to the professors. By now, you should have a list of professors whose labs you're interested in joining and have a base level understanding of what their labs do. Now it's time to send cold emails. So this means that you haven't met the professor before, but you found their email on the faculty directory and are going to send them an email. And I want you to keep this in mind when sending emails. You want to keep it short, sweet, to the point, and respectful of the professor's time. Nobody wants to read an essay about how great you are. They want to read an essay about how great they are. So keep that in mind and demonstrate your curiosity and demonstrate that you've done your homework when sending these emails. Because most undergrads don't do their homework before sending out a cold email. So this will automatically set you apart from all of the other students sending out cold emails to try to join a lab. And a pro tip is that if you can find the graduate students in the lab on the lab website and it has their emails, send them an email as well because they're more likely to respond than a professor is. And if you can get that initial meeting with a graduate student and they can vouch for you, then you're almost guaranteed to get into the lab. The fourth and final step is to follow up. Professors are incredibly busy, so please don't feel bad if you don't get a response. It's completely okay. And I also just want you to accept now that you're not going to get a response for like 90% of the emails that you send out. And that's okay because this is a numbers game. You just have to put up your shots. After 1 week, I want you to send a follow up email just in case the professor might have missed it. And if you still don't get a response, honestly, just move on. It's completely okay. I personally had to send 30 emails before getting my first research opportunity, and I know others who've had to send even more before getting even a response. Now, while you wait to get a response for your emails, I don't want you to just sit around refreshing your inbox. So here's a bonus fifth step. I want you to start working on a skill. It could be MATLAB, ImageJ, cell segmentation, SolidWorks. It could be anything, whatever aligns with your interest. And I want you to start learning it, use free resources on YouTube, and document it. And this is going to go on your resume. You're going to talk about it in your interviews. And this is going to be a demonstration that you can show initiative for your learning. Professors love that. And it's going to help you stand out and it's going to open so many doors for you. Now, to wrap up, I just want to remind you that every single student who's done undergraduate research started out with zero experience at some point. The difference between you and them is that they didn't wait to feel ready to get started. They just got started. If you want a step-by-step playbook with the email scripts and everything else to guarantee that you get a research position, check out the Undergraduate Research Playbook, which is in the description below. And with that, I'll see you next time.